All right, we're working on 11.4.3, which is graphs of quadratic functions. Anytime I see graphs, I'm going to go ahead and use Desmos. So I have Desmos pulled up here. Um, Now we know how to do this algebraically. We've learned how to factor. We've learned the zero product rule. We've learned complete the square, quadratic function. We've learned all these different ways to find the x-intercepts, which is also called the roots, which are also called the zeros. We have all these different ways that we learned them. So now we're going to do the graphing method of it. So we'll find the x-intercepts of the function. This is graphing. So I am simply going to take, for question 1, I'm going to type into Desmos the function. And it crosses at, so I have a function -2, 0, order paired -2, 0, and then +6. So my x-intercepts are x equals 6, and then x equals -2. Done. That's all I need to do. Do the same thing for this one. It crosses at 4 and 5. So my answers are 4 and 5. If they ever ask for the factorization, this would be x minus 4, x minus 5. If they ever ask for that. Alright, so find the x-intercepts by factoring the quadratic triangle. This is unit 10, I believe the second section. So 10.2 is the video for factoring. If you need refresher there, go back. So I'm just going to quickly factor this. What is going to be? This is going to be x minus 6, x minus 4. Alright, so I have x minus 6, x minus 4. I know my x-intercepts then are x equals 6 and positive 4. Now, how do you find the vertex then? What we do with the vertex is we are going to take my x-intercept 6 and 4. I'm going to add them together and divide them by 2. I'm going to average them out. So what I just did there, after I averaged out the x-intercepts, excuse me, once I've averaged them out, I've identified the x value. Well, I guess I should, to be consistent, if we remember the vertex we list as h, my h value is 5, right? So I just added the x-intercepts together and divided by 2. And then how do I solve for my y? Y coordinate of the vertex. I'm sorry, I'm stuttering here because I'm messing around. I apologize. Is what I'm going to do is, because I'm not going to do question 4, is I'm going to take my original equation, y equals x squared minus 10x plus 24, and I'm going to plug 5 in there. Alright, so I found what my h was, 5, so I'm going to plug it in for my x value. 25 minus 50 plus 24. Well, this is going to be negative 25 plus 24. I don't know what just happened. That's weird. Plus 24, which is going to be negative 1. So my y value, or v, is negative 1. So my vertex is 5, negative 1. So what did I do? Is I factored again as section 2 of unit 10. I factored, I got x minus 6, x minus 4. If I have factored form, I take the opposites for my x-intercepts or my roots or my zeros, whatever you want to call them. So I got x equals 6 and 4. To find the x value or x coordinate of the vertex, I add my x-intercepts and divide them by 2. I got 5. To find the y value, I plugged it back into the equation and solve for y. Cool beans. Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. Making this harder than it needs to be. Okay, so they want us to sketch the graph. I'm just going to go right to Desmos. Y equals x squared. And on your quizzes, they're not ever going to ask you to sketch a graph, so we don't even need to worry about that part. So my x-intercepts are negative 3 and negative 1. So negative 3, 0, negative 1, 0. And then my vertex, negative 2, negative 1. It is that easy. So 7, I would do this exact same way. I could actually use my vertex form to identify some information, but this is a graphing section. Plus in the Desmos, I'm not going to say nothing. All right, so question 9, for determine which function is graphed. All right, well, first thing so we cross here. So I cross at x equals positive 1, and I cross at x equals positive 6. So I know my factors, right? So these are my roots. Factors are always opposite. I should have this. This would be a correct function, and I have that here. All right, so I identified my roots, and then I made factors from the roots. Another way we could do this is I could just start typing in the equations, right? This is a graphing section, and then I can see that this is not the correct graph, so it's not A. Then go through that for the rest of them, and then C would end up matching. Right? That's pretty straightforward. I can take the roots, turn them into factors, and then now I have an equation. And then I could do that binomial multiplying and actually get it into a standard form too if I wanted to. That was Unit 9, I think. So they know which parabola has a smaller minimum. Well, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to identify what the minimum on B is. That is 0, negative 4. Right? That's where the vertex is. 0, negative 4. Well, what's the vertex of parabola A? Well, I'm going to graph it. I ain't got time to waste. Cool, so there's my graph. It's 1, negative 8. So I would say that parabola A is going to go ahead and have the longer vertex. I mean the shorter or smaller minimum. It's the lowest. That's straightforward, right? You guys got this.